some questions about the cybersecurity measures in place during the Chinese delegation visit last week.
Yes, Senator, I'll ask Mr Khan and Mr Webb to come to the table.
Great. It's a bit of a shock for us all to get to work last Monday morning and receive the email in our inboxes about the measures that were being put in place in terms of powering down devices, putting devices into lockdown mode, even closing the doors and blinds of our suites during the delegation visit. So I'm keen to know what security agencies DPS consulted with before those instructions were issued.
Senator Vance Carlin, First Assistant Secretary, Security Division. We take advice for every visit, every event that comes to Parliament House from a number of agencies across the intelligence community and law enforcement and other government departments. I'm not going to go into specifics of which of the intelligence agencies, but we receive advice and we act accordingly on that advice so we can look to put the best measures possible to protect Parliament House. Okay. Can I ask why you don't want to go into specific details of which agencies you consulted with? It's just the intelligence community. We receive advice from across the agencies of the intelligence community, Senator. It would be fair to say, though, that the email that we received last Monday, I mean, I've been in this building for 6.5 years now. I can't ever recall receiving an email with these sort of quite strict requirements placed upon us. Has the DPS ever implemented similar measures for any other foreign delegations in the building? Every visit and every event that we conduct here at Parliament House, Senator, we look to see which measures, which layers that we need to incorporate. We send advice out accordingly across a number of sources, so we do advise out, and on this occasion it went very broad because it was a large delegation and we had a number of visits that day, so it was a busy period. But you've never sent an email to Parliament House-wide, including members and senators, before saying there is a delegation in the building. If you are in these areas of the building, turn off all of your devices and close the blinds. You've never sent an email like that before? I would have to take that on notice, Senator. In my time, not specifically to the full Parliament, no. Mr Webb, did you want to add something there?
Chief Information Officer, what I would say is this is routine security protocols for visits, events, travel, and so what Mr Khan has said is routine from a security perspective. Without going into the specifics of who you requested advice from, when did you request advice? We've had planning for this visit and many other visits starts many months out, Senator. Many months out. And details for each visit, every guest of government, every guest of Parliament and other delegations that come through with each of our departments, we receive advice on that and we engage with each of the departments on the nature of that visit. So specific to Zhao Leji's visit, when did you seek advice on this visit? We received advice, started getting more advice probably early October, mid-October, Senator. Early October to mid-October. Why then did we not receive an email until the Monday of a sitting week? Senator, there are a number of events before that and we had a number of different activities and visits that came before that period, so we sent it out at the time that we think is the best, most appropriate, relevant time. So why did you think it was the most appropriate, best and relevant time to send out the advice when it wouldn't provide anybody with the ability to plan around the limitations that you were putting on our work in a parliamentary week? We were actually trying to put the advice was centred on enabling you to continue doing your parliamentary business, Senator. The advice was we had to turn our devices off if we happened to be in an area of the building that was close to the delegation. I was walking through the corridors and came across the delegation and thought, oh, gee whiz, I'd better switch my phone off. That's not practical in a sitting week.
Senator, I'll take that remark and just have contemplate that. One of the things that we're really conscious of is that we do send out a lot of information to building occupants and the potential for that information to get lost, particularly for members and senators when they're not actually in the building. So part of our thinking through having it as close as possible and when members and senators and your staff are in the building was for it to be timely and for it not to be missed. But I appreciate that that commentary from you, and we'll consider that in future as well. And we might touch base with some senators and members just in terms of when is the best time to receive that kind of notification, so it will be most useful for you. I'm conscious that that visit was occurring in the afternoon of that day, and the advice was sent out in the morning, which in our consideration would give people time to be able to consider it, noting that it was going to be a busy sitting day, but it wouldn't get lost the week before. But I appreciate your comments on that.
Because, Ms Hinchcliffe, these are pretty extraordinary measures to have to put in place. Like, I think we can all agree that these are not the usual sort of cybersecurity measures, personal device measures that we would expect to have in place for any other parliamentary delegation in this building.
Well, Senator, I think that they are in line with the advice that is being given to senators and members in some of the national security briefings that you're receiving from other agencies, and I know there's been a number of those for new senators and members. So I'll correct that if I'm wrong, but I think that this is the kind of advice that's being given. This was a reminder, given the large number of people that were coming into the building. And again, as a department, we're thinking about this in terms of how can we provide the most timely advice to senators and members and to your staff, noting that there is a number of APH devices that you use, but you also, a number of people bring in their own personal devices. So we're thinking about the ways that we can provide that advice to you in a useful way, and I'm very happy to take on any comments about whether this was useful, whether it was not useful, whether this is something you'd like to see more of or less of into the future.
Were these measures outlined in the email based on intelligence of an imminent threat, or were they precautionary?
I'd put them as precautionary measures, prudent precautionary and routine measures that we are looking at in the environment that we work in now, Senator. And I'm sure you are very conscious of the broader security environment that we here at Parliament House and right the way across every agency, every department, every industry is particularly cognisant of what security, cyber security, that it must maintain. We're looking to do the same to safeguard parliamentarians in the process here at Parliament in exactly the same way.
So do you think it would be fair for parliamentarians, people who work in this building, to expect that the next time a parliamentary delegation comes through from another foreign country, that we should be expected to have to turn all of our devices off and close the blinds again?
Senator, I would re-characterise it that I think all building occupants have a responsibility here to be aware of the place that we work, the house that we work in, the decisions and the processes that are undertaken here, and we all have a responsibility to try and protect that to the best of our ability.
Is there any concern that Parliament's cyber infrastructure is vulnerable to on-site interference?
Senator, I don't think there's any inference on the advice that the Parliamentary Computing Network is vulnerable. I would say, similarly to my evidence previously, the protocols around cybersecurity are consistent with travel and other delegations. I would say, previous delegations, even within the last 6 months, have had similar advice from our cybersecurity and security teams around how to manage themselves travelling abroad. This is a similar situation, just domestically.
Were any parliamentary systems disrupted during the delegation visit?
Not as a result of a cyber incident, no.
And to confirm, senators will be aware that we had a few disruptions to various systems on the Wednesday of last sitting week. I know the Dynamic Red was down, a few committee websites were down. They were entirely not connected to this visit?
Yeah, I can confirm those incidents were not related to a cyber incident, Senator.
How many officers were affected by the lockdown instructions?
when affected. Senator, I'd say we provided that advice because not only were we conscious that there were large numbers of people moving through, so it was administrative as much as security there. We had large numbers of people moving through corridors. The circular that you've seen and was passed to you was that information to show you where the route of that particular delegation would take. So I can't give you the exact number of officers that they passed just off the top of my head.
Has any guidance been provided to building occupants on how we can verify that our devices are secure after the visit? Because I'm guessing, given, you know, the late notice with which the advice was provided, not everyone was aware of exactly what had to be done.
Senator, I'm not aware that we've actually circulated advice in relation to checking devices after that visit. However, there is information up on the service portal that offers everyone that works in the building on an APH-issued device the opportunity to come through and to have those devices checked and confirmed at any time.
Has the department conducted a post-visit review to determine whether any attempted intrusion of our own systems occurred?
Sorry, Senator, to clarify, our cyber systems, our IT systems?
Yes.
Yeah. So our Cybersecurity Operations Centre is a 24/7 operation and is consistently and constantly monitoring the cyber posture of our network. So a specific post-delegation review has not occurred, but in my judgment, because we're monitoring those systems and we've got a very mature cybersecurity operations centre, I'm comfortable that one isn't needed.
I think, one more question, Chair. I think such a review would be wise because, I mean, it seems to be the department's evidence here today that this request for us to switch off our phones, put our devices into lockdown, close the doors, close the blinds is all sort of routine advice. But I'd put it to you that, I think I already have put it to you, we have never been asked to do this before. And I strongly suspect there is a reason that we were asked to do it this time. So how can, if we are to expect that this is going to become routine, I think there needs to be far better socialisation of these measures around the building.
No, Senator, very happy to really broaden the engagement out, as the Deputy Secretary and Secretary spoke to see what your preference is in terms of timings, how far out. There have been a number of engagements since the opening of the new Parliament, what we've called multi-agency briefings, which have sought to provide further general information for all senators and members as to security threats, security risks and actions they can take to look after themselves. Very happy that we can start engaging in a broader process with you. I look forward to it.